Good afternoon and welcome to Penn's Perspectives on CompanyRoots. Today I'm interviewing Julia Ellis, a sophomore in Wharton and the current vice president of the Applied Management Program in the prestigious Wharton Management Club. Thank you for coming on today, and it's a privilege to connect with you and interview you. My name is Srish Shasti, and I'm a rising freshman at the Wharton School, and I'm from Homedale, New Jersey. The first question that I always ask my CompanyRoots interviewees is, what are your roots and how do they help you in shaping your ideas and becoming the person you are today?
Yeah, of course. So I'm actually also from New Jersey. I'm from Berkeley Heights in Union County, which is North Jersey, right outside of like New York City.
Yeah.
And part of my roots is that my mother's actually Hispanic and my father is white. So I had a very like diverse childhood when I was growing up. My father's side was um, less emotional and very quiet. And when I saw his family, and my Hispanic side was very loud and colorful, so I kind of got both of those personality traits. So I ended up kind of being loud when I need to, but I also got kind of the responsible, mature, very quiet and stoic part of my father's family. So that was part of my roots that I think really helped me
Mhm.
grow and become like a better person.
Yeah. And so how would you say those roots have, obviously it's something that we always write about during the college application process and then the club process because our roots are constantly changing who we are. So even right now in Wharton, how do you think your roots have impacted the things that you chose to do?
Yeah, I definitely think that my roots impact that. For instance, like I try to give back to the community through the Wharton Management Club projects. Those are the projects I'm most specifically interested in because I do see, the way a lot of my Hispanic side of the family gets treated, especially, and it's not always the greatest. So I really try to give back to the community if I can of West Philadelphia, which is why that's kind of the focus of the projects that we work on. For instance, we worked with Fulfill last semester, which specifically works with the schools
Mhm.
in West Philadelphia and the underprivileged areas, and they try to give them entrepreneurial curriculums and better curriculums that way. So that way they can help themselves and be creative and use all those types of things and become more confident in themselves.
Mhm. Gotcha. Um, and so what are you specifically involved in the Wharton Management Club, and what is the position you hold?
Yeah. So I am the vice president of the Applied Management Program. A little background on that. The Applied Management Program is one of the four committees on Wharton Management Club, and it is the consulting part where we actually take the skills that we learn every day in the classroom and we actually apply it to real companies.
Mhm.
So we will have a range of projects happening at one time, anything from tech startups to we worked with a laundry service to projects that really are more community focused. Anything that we really are interested in, we're totally capable of doing, which I think is a great part of the club.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so my first semester here, I worked as a project lead on two projects. Since at when you onboard a client, you tend to be the lead of it and take charge. So that gave me a lot of just like thrown in hands-on experience, and I learned a lot. It was a little nerve-wracking because I just came into Penn and I was just like starting to like work on all these projects, and but it ended up going really well and I really enjoyed the experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then the president went on study abroad the my second semester as a freshman.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, so then everyone kind of like went up the chain.
Mhm.
So they ended up putting me as the VP of AMP, which was really exciting for me. And I really enjoyed it. And so what I kind of do now is I do the interviews, which is a new experience. I've never really interviewed people before. I've always been on the other side of the table, so it actually like helped me learn about personally like what interviews are like for both sides now, which I think is an important skill to learn, and it also teaches me kind of what kind of applicants are looking for. And then throughout the semester, I manage all the teams. So I have to really like stay in contact with all the leaders,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to like organize and put people on the team specifically, and do a lot of the AMP committee meetings, because we have team meetings for the projects and then we have AMP committee meetings as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the AMP committee meetings, we either discuss articles on regular consulting based things, and I try to lead the discussion on that, but allow for enough creativity that people can really discuss it as well and come up with new ideas. So that's part of a challenge of like wording questions the right way and really like making people think. That was kind of like a new experience for me. And then this semester, we're actually hoping to do maybe a Shark Tank style thing with one of our corporate sponsors. So that's probably what we're going to be working on for almost all of the AMP committee meetings this semester.
That sounds really exciting. Um, I remember Shark Tank was a huge part of my life growing up, which is kind of why I ended up wanting to go to Wharton too. So that sounds like something really cool. Um, and kind of segueing in from some of the things you're talking about, since you're the person, looking at new membership and kind of doing those interviews, for prospective WMC members, how would you describe the atmosphere of the club? And what is the biggest benefit about making it in?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So one of the really differentiating factors, I believe, of Wharton Management Club is that we are very down to earth. A lot of clubs, they're very competitive and they're very cutthroat. Especially the application process, things are very hectic and competitive the entire time.
Yeah.
And Wharton Management Club, we try to be a place where everyone can have fun. We actually do a BYO, usually once a semester. That's probably not going to happen this semester, unfortunately. But we really try to make it an environment where not only people can learn, but they can also make great friends and really get to know people and have fun. Like I've met some of my uh, um, closest friends from Wharton Management. It's like great experience for me, I think.
Hmm.
And then um, I think what you can get out of the club not only are the great friends, but you do learn a lot about, not only just consulting, but you learn about, the industry specifically. You get to have like these client connections, like especially the leads themselves. They have like so much contact with the client, and the client can really teach you a lot. Like last semester, one of our teams actually got to tour the Pennovation Center that our client led us through and toured the whole thing with us. And he really like taught us about, he was doing a lot of 3D printing. So he told us a lot about that. So all these things that you don't really expect that you're going to learn about when you join a project, you honestly get like totally surprised in like the best way.
Wow, that's really cool. Um, so what are some of the projects that you were involved in your freshman year before you went on to your study abroad?
Oh no, I didn't do study abroad. The president went on study abroad.
President's Day abroad. Okay, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were some of the projects you did then for the entire freshman year?
Yeah. So the first project I went on was a laundry service that was trying to move into tech. And they were also trying to go into a new city, which was um, my first project. So they gave us maybe 5 cities that we had to research. And so we ended up, it was me and 2 other people on this team. It was a team of 3. So we ended up doing like a ton of research. We ended up having to, calculate the market size, and we had to find out all these things about specific traffic because it was a delivery service.
Hmm.
Um, and we had to um, do like a lot of just like market research that I ended up having to do a bunch of times since then, but it was the first time I've ever done it. So it was a big challenge. It was skills that I had research skills, but never like these types of research skills. And I didn't know that really how to calculate things. And so it was like a big learning curve for me. But we ended up making this ginormous report with all of our data, all of our facts. We had figures, we had charts, and I was honestly really proud of it. We sent it to our client, and he loved it. They unfortunately they did, because they were a startup, they ended up having to shut operations down, especially with COVID coming.
Mhm.
So I hope that they come back up in operations, especially now that the students are back in Philly, off campus, some of them. But so of course that's one of the risks of startups.
Right. Um, and so for every great organization, there is an incredible team. So what qualities does your team look for when recruiting prospective members?
Yeah. So one of the things that I really like to look for specifically in a member is ambition. I think that that's a great quality because we don't expect people to know anything about consulting at a freshman level. It's very unusual for people to be aware and like have experience in the industry. So what I like to look for is that people are really ambitious, they have drive, and that they're really interested in Wharton Management Club. They
Mhm.
show up to all of our information sessions. I like it when people actually reach out and talk to me. I think that that makes like a big difference because I get to know them even before the interview process begins, and I get to see, you know, this person's really serious about us.
Yeah,
And I think that that's one of the biggest qualities for me because, you know, anyone I think can be great in Wharton Management Club, but I think the people that really want to be great are going to get the most out of it.
gotcha. And I mean, I guess that's a plus for me since, taking my time. Um,
Yeah.
Now, kind of going on to some more personal questions about Penn and your time there. And I know it's only been a year, but I feel like that's a lot of time to get to know the campus, I think. Um,
Yeah.
so, what is the most interesting class that you've taken, and how have you applied some of those lessons that you learned in real life?
Yeah. So I really actually loved both Econ 110 and Management 101. I'm actually always been kind of interested in management, but I wasn't really super familiar with econ before I came to Wharton. So it was just the professor was great. She really got my interest, and I really liked everything that she like the way she taught, and it kind of like made me feel like I was like ready for Wharton.
Yeah,
That was kind of like the beginning experience because it was one of the first classes I took, and it kind of showed me all about Wharton, and you know it made me feel like, you know, I'm ready for this, like I am good, you know.
yeah,
So that was kind of like a big like introduction, and I really appreciated that. And then my other favorite class, which was basically on the same level as Econ 10, was Management 101, which is actually what I'm interested in concentrating in. The professor again was fantastic. I actually unfortunately was planning on doing a one of those lunch and learns with your professor, but then the semester went a
yeah,
little sideways. But I learned a lot about companies and like strategies, which I had never learned before. And since then, I've been working on a like website startup, and I've been using all of those management skills and trying to find, especially like the company strategies, in order to create our like strategic positioning.
yeah. And that's great for me. I'm also thinking about maybe going into like a little bit of management. Obviously, like I have to take some courses and familiarize myself. But the finance stigma of like 14 people just going into finance, I'm gonna try to like not necessarily abide by that unless it's like what I really find interesting.
Yeah, that's definitely the way to do it.
Yeah. And kind of going on the whole professor thing, if you could have a sit down conversation with any one Penn person or professor, who would it be and why?
Yeah. It definitely would be my management professor because I never actually got the opportunity to do so. His name was Henry Hahn. His teaching style was just incredible. He honestly made it so interactive. One of the days he actually brought in Coke and Pepsi when he was trying to talk about how, one of the things that they really do is they brand themselves. And
Mhm.
he's like, the product is not different. So he makes everyone try, he makes like maybe like 6 or 7 people try Coke and Pepsi and like figure out which one's which. And they all guess. And he's like, wrong, it's all Pepsi.
Oh, dang.
One kid actually got it right. One kid says they both taste like Pepsi, and he's like, "No, you have to choose Coke or Pepsi." So it was just the way that he brought his teaching alive, and he really proved his point. He was like, their branding is incredible. It's really all their branding and their strategy that really gets everyone going. I'm still loyal to Coke even after apparently the products are not different, but
I'm pretty sure that's a little bit
I'm still a
right.
Coke person.
I'm
They're
pretty like
they're a little different.
I don't know. I think it's like 5 grams of sugar here or there or something, like something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, either way, I'm still loyal to Coke. I am a victim of the same branding strategy that they that they use, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. Making me come alive like that. It's kind of like out of a movie.
Yeah, exactly. And it was at 9 a.m., so it was really hard to make people, wake up.
Yeah. That just seems so weird for me because our high school, like the one that I went to, like it started at like 7 a.m. And so I'm thinking like a 9 a.m. class is close to my lunch in high school. Like it's like 45 minutes before my lunch, and then I see all these college students saying like nine, don't take a 9 a.m. class, like you're gonna die.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like my high school was, I was like, I had to leave every day at like 7:10, because the parking was really bad.
Uh-huh.
Um, so like my first semester, I took some 9 a.m.s and they were fine. Um, but anyway, so now my classes start at noon. So I had that transition very abruptly, I guess. Last semester when I think I only had one 9 a.m.
Hmm.
But it was just like it was like going to bed the night before the 9 a.m. and that was what really got me. I was like, I can't do this. I can't wake up at 8. Like this is such a struggle. And in my mind, I was like, it's not even that late. I mean, it's not even that early. But it didn't matter. So anyway, now my classes are like 10:30 and noon. So I do agree. The 9 a.m. college thing is rough. It's rough.
Yeah. When I was going on Pen and Touch, I was like first trying to get used to the software because it came out of like a 2004 website in my opinion. But
Oh,
I was trying to get used to that, and I looked at him like 9 to 10:30, 10:30 to 12, and then I decided I'll keep almost all my classes from 10:30 afterwards, and I tried to like stack my classes so that I wouldn't have to, do too much on every day, but like 1 or 2 days of the week would be like, I'm really grinding out the work.
oh yeah, that makes sense. A lot of people also structure it so that they don't have Friday classes.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't
That's
I
the
didn't
best
try to
one.
structure that one. It just like ended up like that.
Yeah, it's not too bad not to have Friday classes. There are some classes that will definitely only have recitations on Fridays,
Mhm.
and those are a little sad, but it's only like gonna be like an hour of your time on Friday, which is honestly perfectly fine in
Yeah,
my opinion.
yeah, yeah. Especially now that I'm sadly doing it virtually. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. And on the virtual note, with the pandemic keeping all of the campus activity, virtual, how would you recommend that people maximize their time exploring Penn? And by people, I kind of mean freshmen.
Yeah. Um, I definitely think this is like a unique challenge. Um, I personally think, there's the SAC fair on the first to the third.
Hmm.
And I think that people should really be joining clubs because right now I feel like clubs are a great way to get to know people that might be, not as easy otherwise because you can't really, meet someone in your lecture anymore or, meet someone down the hallway or, in like on Locust Walk. So I think that really clubs are kind of the way to get to meet people because you get thrown in groups with people, you have to do work with them and it's really like doing a like a almost like a group project, but one that you actually want to do because you signed up for the club.
Yeah.
And you guys work for like the whole semester, and you really get to know people, which is why I think that's the best way to meet people right now, with everything considered. I knew I met a lot of people through my housing. So, but then after my housing, like the next on the list was through clubs. So I think, now that everyone has to stay home or, move off campus or whatever, anyone who's home, I would definitely just try to join a lot of clubs. And honestly, like, you don't have to join like so many, like you just sign up and you just like sign up for all of them. Like just join the ones that you're really interested in and just make like meaningful connections. And I really think that that's the best way you can do it.
Yeah, definitely. I will take your advice on that one. um, and then, so I have two more questions. And these ones are kind of more big picture. But when you look back at Penn in 10 years, what are some of the little things that you're going to remember, just like off the top of your head?
The first thing I'm going to remember is the pandemic. Not sure I consider it a little thing, but that's definitely the first thing I'm going to remember my college experience. The second thing I hope that I remember are, the people that I met and all the friends that I have, and hopefully I'm going to stay in contact with, a number of them. So I really hope that, the people really enrich my experience, because you get to meet so many people at Penn. Like, one of my really good friends is from Ghana, and I've never really even, gone to Africa. I've never met anyone from like that kind of area, and we're such good friends. She teaches me so much about, her perspectives, and she like totally, and people like that, they totally like change your whole worldview, because you see like so many parts of like the world that you like necessarily through their eyes, and you necessarily wouldn't see it otherwise. And I think that's something really important about Penn. It really like makes you like a bigger person,
Yeah.
because you learn so much about all these different places. And I really hope that that's something I keep with me, and that like personality really helps me in the future, because it really makes you so open-minded.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do right now virtually. Just get these perspectives from people like you. Maybe you can refer me to your friend from Ghana and I can hear some of those too. Um, and then, so the last question I have is, what one piece of advice would you give to current and prospective Penn students? And how would you recommend they start the process of just, and getting themselves situated?
You mean like mostly freshmen and prospective students?
Yeah.
Um, so I guess kind of like on an academic basis, I know a lot of people like coming into Penn, they don't necessarily feel all the time like they belong, because it is such like like a big atmosphere. It's a big place. Everyone's super smart, and a lot of times people are like, oh no, I'm not good enough for here. Like I don't feel like I belong. Like I know a lot of people talked about that freshman year, and I guess like my biggest thing I would want to tell them is like just totally throw that away. Like you absolutely belong. Everyone here is smart, and people who go here, and anyone who gets in is incredibly smart. People who don't get in, they're also extremely smart, but there's no need to think that you don't belong here, or that you won't be good enough, or that you won't thrive here, because anyone who is here absolutely, they're a great person, they're smart, they're totally fits in with the environment. So even if there's an adjustment period, and I know I had an adjustment period, and honestly, but after you adjust, it's going to be a great experience, and you're gonna definitely feel like you belong.